I filed the motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning and a pink slip. I respect our conference. I've paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the house in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority instead of standing with the Democrats.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has moved to oust Speaker Mike Johnson. The responses to her motion have been quite chaotic. Welcome into TYT Overruled. I am your host, Adrienne Lawrence.
Have you gotten used to the word speaker yet?
I haven't, John. I've been in the job about 48 hours now, and it's kind of surreal, to be honest.
And Johnson may not get used to that title if Marjorie Taylor Greene has her way. The gentlewoman from Georgia has filed papers to bounce Mike Johnson after just 6 months. Why is that?
As with rules and promises to the American people that we would bring regular order back to Congress, Speaker Johnson has betrayed that by passing 3 CRs and then forcing us to pass or to vote on a 2-part omnibus, the second one being today. He also only gave us, I don't even know how, we had 1 day basically to read 1,012 pages, breaking the 72-hour rule. This is a betrayal of the American people. This is a betrayal of Republican voters. And the bill that we were forced to vote on forced Republicans to choose between funding to pay our soldiers and in doing so, funding late-term abortion. This bill was basically a dream and a wish list for Democrats and for the White House. It was completely led by Chuck Schumer, not our Republican Speaker of the House, not our conference, and we weren't even allowed to put amendments to the floor to have a chance to make changes to the bill.
Greene didn't blindside Johnson, however. A few hours before her filing, Greene issued warning shots on Steve Bannon's show.
What then is the fate if we control the House, but we have a speaker that is basically pushing and passing the Democrats' agenda? What do you recommend should be the fate of Mike Johnson?
We are making that decision on a minute-by-minute basis today, Steve, and I think you can stay tuned.
Will you lead the effort to call for a motion to vacate?
Steve, we are going to be making decisions on a minute-by-minute basis today, and I urge you to watch and see what happens.
Marge made clear that she was not a fan.
Mike Johnson has gotten rolled completely, totally, in every single process. He has not negotiated with strength. He's handed every single thing over to Chuck Schumer.
And in her post-filing interviews, Greene also made clear that she wasn't big on facts.
I entered the motion to vacate this morning after Mike Johnson brought part 2 of an omnibus to the bill to the House floor this morning and forced all of us to vote on a bill that would fund abortion up until full term, that doesn't do anything to secure our border. And this comes after people are seeing this video that's horrifying to every single American, where there's a large group of military-aged men, illegals, rushing the border, running over Border Patrol, running over the National Guard.
The bill did not fund full-term abortion and many of the other things Greene spun. But she wants Johnson out.
You're calling this a pink slip, a warning sign. The bottom line, you want Speaker Johnson out.
I wouldn't have filed a motion to vacate if I didn't. We need a new speaker. This is not personal against Mike Johnson. He's a very good man, and I have respect for him as a person, but he is not doing the job. The proof is in the vote count today. He passed a budget that should have never been brought to the floor, did not represent our conference, and it was passed with the Democrats and without the majority of the majority.
What happened?
So where do things stand now with the motion to vacate Johnson?
It's filed, but it's not voted on. It only gets voted on until I call it to the floor for a vote.
And when is that?
Again, I don't have a timeline. That will be a rolling issue that we'll be judging and making decisions by. But I assure you, I'm not the only one. I have support on this from others in my conference. And
speaking of support on her motion, do you think that Greene bothered to get Donald Trump's support?
Have you talked to Trump? Have you talked to Trump about this?
I have not talked to President Trump about this.
Said there's more.
I can't be the only one who thinks that maybe Greene should have checked in with Trump first.
Marjorie Taylor Greene said, I have not talked to President Trump about this. Largely, President Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson have had a great relationship. Speaker Mike Johnson just put out a tweet congratulating him on securing the nomination. Seems like a pretty big voice you'd want to get input from since he's the titular head of the party at the moment.
Some would say this is just more Marjorie Taylor Greene nonsense.
I feel we are seeing yet another tantrum by a tiny faction of that conference that is disrupting the entire machine that we just exhaustively waited for to get back on track. And here we are again, watching someone steal the time, steal the audio, steal the limelight, steal the attention. She says we should have our attention on the illegals streaming across the border, on a million other things. No, our attention was on you while you gave a presser. I'm sick and tired of it. As a Republican, as an American citizen, I want them to get to work. I love Speaker Johnson. Who would be better than him, MTG? What is your plan? And I don't want my legislature taking 2 days up to vote for that, to figure everything out, to look incompetent during a presidential election year. This is the last thing I want to be subjected with. This is, it's frankly, at a minimum, it's disappointing.
But don't worry, this isn't PR. She's really thought this through.
If it's a warning, does that mean that you're not going to go through and force this vote?
No, I will. I'm just
There's
not.
nothing that can convince you to back off.
There's not a time limit on this. It doesn't have to be forced and throw the House into chaos. I don't want to put any of our members in a difficult place like we were for 3.5 weeks.
Wait, she doesn't want to throw her party into chaos? Has she looked at the current state of the Republicans' majority in the House?
Kilmeny, really quickly on the news on the possibility of a motion to vacate, which again we've covered extensively when this has happened multiple times, multiple rounds over and over. But the landscape in terms of the House majority has changed, which you well know, that the majority for Republicans is slimmer. It would be risky to again bring a motion like that forward, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Given what it took for Republicans to secure a replacement for Kevin McCarthy, it's hard to believe that Greene has got a real hold on this.
You saw what happened in the fall. We saw one, speaker candidate after another fall short of getting the votes necessary. You can't, how could you possibly even find someone to succeed Mike Johnson who could get the votes, keep this conference together, and not plunge this chamber into chaos?
We're going to have to do it because the country is in crisis. We have a border invasion that's happening every single day. We have Americans under the age of 30, for the first time it's showing in all types of polling, have lost hope for their future. The younger generations can't afford to buy a home. Inflation is running rampant. Our country is in crisis, and we need real leaders that know how to fight, that know how to walk in a room and don't get rolled by the deep state and don't get rolled by the Democrats.
Evidently, this is Greene's rebuke to having a speaker who may seek to make some progress.
Don't you worry that you're basically pushing him or any new speaker into the arms of Democrats? Because, at a certain point...
He's already in the arms of Democrats, and it's proof in the vote count today. This was a Democrat bill. This was not a Republican bill. We weren't allowed to introduce amendments. We weren't allowed to have a...
Some hardline Republicans are down to back Greene's efforts.
What will happen from here remains to be seen. If she does go that route, does she have enough votes to actually kick out Mike Johnson? I just talked to some hardliners, including one, Ralph Norman, just moments ago. He kept open the option of voting to boot Mike Johnson, as did Bob Good, who's a member of the House Freedom Caucus. And if it goes to that level, what do Democrats do? Do they step in any way to try to help?
But will Democrats save Johnson if the vote comes to the floor?
Congressman Suozzi, Democrat of New York, will you vote to keep Mike Johnson in as Speaker?
Yes, I will.
Why is that?
Because it's absurd. He's getting kicked out for doing the right thing, keeping the government open. It has 2/3 support of the Congress, and the idea that he would be kicked out by these jokers is absurd.
Will there be other Democrats who join you think?
I hope so.
Okay, thanks for your time. Thank you.
At least one member of the left isn't ready to lose another Speaker of the House. In the meantime, members of Fox News are none too pleased with Marjorie Taylor Greene's push to vacate Johnson because it's keeping them from playing the fear-mongering migrant videos they're known for.
As I'm listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I hear her say, there's a video that everyone is focused on. That video is of illegal immigrants rushing our border. It is a video about 6 minutes ago we were set to play. It is a video that you're not seeing right now because instead we are talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. It raises the question, she didn't make this live, so nothing happens for 2 weeks. Is this a fundraising exercise so you can go back to your district for 2 weeks and fundraise off of it? What's the motive here? I get you're not in her head, but what's the motive?
So what do you think? Will Greene be successful in her efforts to oust Johnson? You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit those like and follow buttons, and thanks for watching.